All right, we're going to do the filigree. So you would take any shell case you want to use. These are 6mm. These are a good shell case too that I do. But you know what? Let's do a 308.
Yeah, 308 better.
Yeah, that's what Mom likes to shoot.
Has less kick
Yes, exactly.
than that 44. The 44.
That's right. So get your shell case, and then I've got lots of different filigrees that I use. You kind of have to buy and test out, depending on what size bullet you're going to use. It's going to depend on what size filigree you're going to need. This is a nice one. And basically, you just kind of start out. This one I had already started the other day. So let me show you. I'll take another one so you can see it. Decide how you want to put it on your bullet. This bullet's too short, really, to go that way. I sometimes do it and crimp it in at the bottom, but I think I'm just going to go that way. Which way should it go? I'm going to go that way. So I just take the bullet, put it in the center, push, and start to roll it.
So that's pretty soft then, isn't it?
It's pretty soft. Some of them are thicker than others. Some of them are not good for this. It's more like you would do it for a different piece. Maybe it's going to hang from it. But you start it out like that. Then you need 2 of your round-nosed jewelry pliers. It helps if you have 2. If you don't, no big deal. Sometimes I use 2, sometimes I just use 1. But anyhow, what you want to do now is just kind of start to crimp it in and curve it, because you want this flat. You don't want it sticking up at all because it's going to catch on people's clothes. So you just kind of start to curve.
And this is a necklace you're working on?
This would be a pendant necklace. Yeah. And just kind of keep curving in. And then I'm going to slide it on. And then I start to kind of push again, and I take the side and push to keep trying to get it to really mold to it. And it'll start to actually get looser on you as you're doing this, but it's okay, because then you take it off and you crimp it again. But you just want to start to make it flush with the shell case. Take it off. And I just crimp it like that. Slide it back on. And then just start looking at it, from all angles, like there's a space there. Just kind of keep doing it until, if you have OCD, it'll be a long time before you feel like it's correct. And again, every time you do that, it is going to loosen it. So you just take it off, crimp it again, slide it back on.
Now, do you fasten it to the bullet? Or?
Yes. And the best way I have found, you cannot solder these. This is like pot metals, and this isn't brass or copper or anything like that. So this, you cannot solder.
So it's some sort of a cheap alloy?
It's cheap, I have no idea what this stuff even is. Like, they just, when you buy it, they'll say like, oh, this is antique bronze, this is antique silver.
Right.
But it's like,
Fake.
Yeah, who knows what it's really made out of. So anyhow, that's pretty decent. So what I do then, hold on. You really want the back curved in. You don't want it to catch. And again, you're OCD like me. This can actually take some time. All right, I'm going to say good enough. One more time.
Almost good enough.
Almost good enough. And then once I do that, I do like to crimp it one more time, because you want it tight when you put it back on. You don't don't want it loose, you want it tight. And since these are bullets, I mean, it's not jewelry. Sometimes you got to turn your bullet, like if there's a scratch or something on it, you get the, the side that you want. Then I use E6000, and what I do, take a toothpick, and where these holes are on the side, just start to take a small amount, and you just start to kind of bubble over it.
In the holes.
In the holes, yep. And don't be shy on doing a good amount of holes. You don't want it to ever slide off. And this will dry really flat. It won't be sticking up like this, like it is now. It'll flatten out. And then any, strings or old ridge of glue, you clean up at the end. I let these dry overnight. But they're probably ready before that. I just usually have other stuff I'm doing, so I just let it sit.
Like cooking and vacuuming.
Yeah, all the fun stuff. No, I usually, like when I'm making jewelry, this will be the first thing I do in the morning. Get these going, and then I can start on other stuff, because I like them to sit overnight before I start messing with them again. You just want to basically do that on both sides. And when it dries, like tomorrow, I would look at this again under light, and you just want to make sure, like I can see right there, there's a little space. And just want it to be, once it's perfectly covered, you won't notice this glue. So anyhow, you just do it again on the other side, and you're good to go. I'll show you now. I won't finish this one. Let's put this here for now. What you would do for the bottom of it, I'll use another, oh God.
Turn this.
Oh, you must not be home all by yourself. What? No. Oh, God, no.
Ah.
I think her people had to cancel.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
What people had to cancel?
Her company for tonight. That's not my problem. Okay. What was I going to show you? Oh, yeah.
How to get out of town.
I think we're going to be leaving.
Get out of town.
It's time to get the heck out of Dodge. What I am looking for are head pins. They're in here somewhere. Because this is how you're going to put your crystal in. Like it looks like a bullet tip, so to speak. But obviously I can't get my hand on it immediately.
How do you, when you get the chain, when you put the chain on, how do you, it's just a loop, you don't put a clasp on it?
I'm going to show you right now, because that is, hold on, oh here they are, okay. And depending on what size bullet you're using will depend on what length you're going to need. Hold on. As far as your head pin. So these are a little bit longer, so I'll use like a 3-inch head pin.
What's a head pin?
A head pin is this. It looks like a pin on the end. And what you do, like, these are my crystals that I use. So, you can do your filigree first or after this. I always do it first just because you're really kind of messing with the bullet. And you don't want to be doing that once you've done the filigree. So do your filigree first, but to show you, I'll use this. So then just take a crystal. I think these are 11 by 7
millimeters.
Yes. And then you can do it either way. I like the crystal to go down so it looks like an actual bullet. coming out. And then thread it through. Now the shell cases I have that I'm using already have a hole in the end. Some don't. Some certain calibers don't. You just drill it out. But anyhow, so that's, you know, the crystal
Oh, there you
in the
are.
bottom. And then I take like a bicone crystal. Like if I was actually going to make this, I probably would put like a round crystal spacer bead on here first, then mount the crystal. But to make it simple, I'll just show you with just a bicone crystal in it. And you can do different colors. I mean, whatever you want to do. 9 times out of 10 on top, I just do a clear crystal, but you can match it or whatever you want to do. So just put your crystal on. Now your crystal's in there. And this is going to turn sometimes. You can just adjust it because you're working with this wire, so it might turn. But this is when you want to get your rounds. And then you're going to need your flat jeweler pliers and your cutter. You take your round. I have to push it down because it rises up. You're going to make a pigtail. So go down and around. And you just start to wrap it around.
And that's like a loop
Yep.
you're making for the chain?
Because
Okay.
you're going to put a jump ring in here.
What?
A jump ring, and that'll, I'll show you. Okay, so now, you got that. Off, and then twist so that it's flat. If not, that's a sharp wire point. You don't want that. And then just straighten it. And you want to make this tight so that this bullet isn't loose and kind of wobbling around.
Right.
So you want to kind of crank it down. But that's your loop. So after that is when you would get your jump rings. And then this all changes depending on what you're making. Your design is and what you're going to do, but I'm just going to make it simple for simplicity's sake. Obviously, depending on the size of your chain, it'll determine the size jump ring you want. Then you need 2 flats, jewelry pliers. And you just open it up. Put it on. Close it back up.
Oh, I see. So this is just a ring that goes on top of the loop you put on top.
This is what your chain's going to go through.
Oh, not the loop you made?
No.
Not the big tilly loop?
Nope.
Oh.
You're going to put a jump ring onto that loop.
Okay.
And that's what your chain's going to go through.
Oh,
And
okay.
you can, put it on after or at the same time or thread your chain through it. Just really depends on what you're doing and the size chain you're going to be using. But it's pretty basic. And now choose your chain and
Now, how do you secure the chain to each other? I mean, it's one long string, so you take 20 inches and you cut it off,
you decide,
and then how do you put it together?
I'll show you.
Is there, like, each chain is a little loop in it, and you open one side up and...
It's just exactly like what I just did here. It helps if you have a jewelry board. If you don't, you can just take, a ruler or something, but that really helps. And
Oh.
you would, choose your chain. I'll just show you like with a small chain. And depending on how long you want it. Like if you want a 26-inch chain, just going to go up here to 13. And then around. On that side to 13. Cut it. And once that end's cut, now what you do is you're going to take your jump rings again. And then it's up. I mean, everybody, you can use, I use different clasps just depending on what I am doing. But a basic is just a lobster claw clasp. So you would take your jump ring. Let me see. The same thing, just open it up. Through. Take your lobster claw clasp. The same thing. And
So it's
then
like a jump ring on the bullet side, and there's another jump ring holding
this
the
end.
ends together.
and you're going to have another jump ring with we're going to cut this. I'd cut this chain, put this jump ring here, and then a bigger jump ring for your clasp. So you do. I'm not going to cut the chain, but I'll just show you.
Mm-hmm.
Say this, pretend it's cut. So you're going to put it through there. You're going to go run.
Bike.
Oh, bike? Okay. I can't see.
You might not be here.
Mom and I were going to go to downtown Apex. I actually would have to cut this because these two loops are making it too tight. But you would do it just like I did this end.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of putting this on, I'm just going to put this big loop on. And then that attaches like that. You know, so pretend that your chain is on this side. You know what I mean? And that goes like that.
Oh, wait a minute.
So,
Just leave it there for a sec.
oh sure.
Just put it
You know
down.
what? To make it easier for her to see this, here, I can show you on this. Here's one right here. You can see. There's the jump ring that this lobster claw is attached to. And on this, because these loops were so big, I didn't do two jump rings. I just did one. And that,
Oh, the lobster claw is like the circle with the spring inside.
yep, that's,
Ah,
and
okay.
this is how you clasp it.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
like Mom,
So you put a jump ring on one end and a lobster claw on the other?
the jump ring is going to be attached to your lobster claw because you need that. The lobster claw just has a loop on the bottom
Right.
of it. So you need a jump ring, and then you put your lobster claw on that. This side, like on a smaller chain, I would do one small jump ring, then a bigger one.
Mm-hmm.
But on this one, these loops are a good size, so I just did one.
To go in the lobster claw.
Yep. Just like
Got
that.
it.
Just like that. Like Mom's necklace, I'll show her. We did. This is more decorative. You would do the same thing. This is a toggle clasp, but it's exactly the same thing. Jump
Mhm.
ring, jump ring.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's your clasp.
Hmm.
So there's so many different ways to do stuff and different materials and whatever. This is just real basic.
Well,
Real basic.
thank you, Tanya.
Well, you're welcome. Have fun.
Thanks.
Have fun making jewelry.
Okay. Cheerio.